morning, respected chairperson. Actually, I was mailed the topic of therapeutic algorithm in heart failure, but I was surprised to see that there is also cardiac biomarker was added in my topic. But okay, let's actually start with the therapeutic algorithm in heart failure. So this is basically the heart failure issue and how the drugs like diuretic, ACE inhibitor, beta blocker actually help. Actually, diuretic and ACE inhibitor basically reduce the number of sacs of the organ. The beta blocker limits the speed and thus saving the energy. And if you actually put the patient tonically on inotrop, it is like the carrot placed in front and the donkey become exhausted very early. And the vasodilator actually increase the efficiency. So this is the basis of the treatment of the heart failure. Now, what are the pivotal issues which we can actually address regarding treating the patient with the heart failure? How to initiate, add or switch therapy to new evidence-based guideline, directed treatments for heart failure, how to achieve optimal therapy given multiple drugs for heart failure, when to refer to an heart failure specialist, what is needed in specific patient cohort, as the African American, frail or elderly patients, how to manage your patients, there's a cost care, and how to manage comorbidities, and how to integrate palliative care and transition to hospice care. Now, actually, heart failure, there are three definitions. One is the heart failure reduced ejection fraction, that is the EF less than 40%. With the preserved ejection fraction heart failure, when the EF is more than 50%, and when the heart failure EF between 40 to 50%, it is a mid-range heart failure mid-range ejection fraction. Now we know the newer NYHA classification, class 1, class 2, class 3 and class 4. I will not go in details. And it is a very important, there are 4 stages of heart failure. Stage A, that is at risk of heart failure but without any structural heart disease or symptom of heart failure. Stage B, structural heart disease but without sign symptom of heart failure. Stage C, structural heart disease with prior or current symptom of heart failure. And stage D, refractory heart failure requiring specialized intervention. Now, in the topic, in my discussion today, I will actually address this stage C heart failure because our aim how to actually improve the symptom and how to reduce the hospitalization of the heart failure with the patient with reduced ejection fraction. Now, this is the basic drug treatment of patient with reduced ejection fraction heart failure patient, that is the ACE inhibitor or ARB. The beta blockers, the diuretic. This is a cornerstone of treatment. Now, for patient with the persistent volume overload, we have to titrate the diuretic dose. For patients with symptomatically African, particularly African American individual and NYHA class 3 and 4, you can add is hydralazine and isosorbide dinitrate combination. And for patient with the stable on ACE inhibitor, newer recommendation to switch to ARNI, that is sacubitril valsartan. I will discuss later how to switch and all this. And the patient with a GFR more than 30 ml with a potassium less than 5, the aldosterone antagonist is indicated. And the new drug, the ivabradine, obviously not very new, but still newer. When the patient having on beta blocker and still the heart rate is more than 70, we can add ivabradine. Now, regarding the initiating the guideline-directed medical therapy in a patient with new onset heart failure, common question is whether to initiate a beta blocker or ACE inhibitor first. Which drug, either beta blocker or ACE inhibitor, to add first? The answer is that we can initiate both. Both are safe, but initiation of ACE inhibitor is often better tolerated when the patient is still congested, whereas the beta blocker are better tolerated when the patient is less congested, that is dry. Now, regarding the diuretic treatment, you start to treat the dose to relieve the congestive symptom, and you will increase the dose, and you may actually reduce the dose of diuretic when you actually start to add ACE inhibitor, ARB or ARNI, because there is always chance of hypotension. Now, if the dose of diuretic reaches to a maximum, the loop diuretic, that is the 120 milligram equivalent to furosemide, twice daily dose, then you have to think of diuretic resistance and give some alternative adding diuretic like metronidazole like diuretic you have to add with the loop diuretic. Now, regarding the ACE inhibitor, yes, you can start with a low dose ACE inhibitor or ARB and gradually increase the dose in 2 weeks intervally. And regarding the beta blocker, there are 4 beta blocker actually approved for heart failure. One is metoprolol, one is bisoprolol, one is your carvedilol and nebivolol. You can start with the low dose and gradually increase the dose. Now, regarding the ARNI, to actually initiate the ARNI, it ensures 36 hours of AC inhibitor. That is, a patient, if it's on AC inhibitor, it should be off AC inhibitor for at least 36 hours. And adequate blood pressure and EGFR, that is more than 30 ml, should be there, starting sacubitril valsartan. And basically, if the patient is taking equivalent of less than 10 milligram daily dose of enalapril, then valsartan less than 160 milligram, then you have to actually start low dose of ARNI, that is 50 milligram twice daily. But if the patient is on higher dose of enalapril, that is more than 10 milligram enalapril or equivalent to more than 160 milligram of valsartan, then actually you have to give higher dose, you can start, that is 100 milligram twice daily. And gradually after 2 to 4 weeks, assess the patient, and if the patient is tolerate the drug well, then you can increase the dose. Now, regarding the isosorbide dinitrate and isohydrazine combination, you can either actually give separately or give a fixed dose combination. In most recent clinical heart failure guidelines recommend that ARNI, AC inhibitor, ARB to reduce the morbidity and mortality in patient with the chronic heart failure with reduced ejection fraction, and the patient with NYHA class 2 to 3 symptoms who can tolerate an AC inhibitor or ARB should transition to an ARNI to further reduce the morbidity and mortality. So patients who can tolerate AC inhibitor, you can switch to ARNI to further reduce the morbidity and mortality. Now, initiation of ARNI, de novo patient without prior exposure to AC inhibitor, yes. The answer is yes, you can actually start. It is possible that the patient may be identified who meets all criteria for initiation of ARNI, but the patient has not yet been treated with an AC inhibitor ARB. But important issue is that you have to be very careful, particularly you have to actually check the side effects of ARNI, particularly the blood pressure and the kidney function and your potassium level. And obviously the therapeutic cost issue is a problem, in our country is a problem with starting the ARNI because it's a costly drug. Now, in hospital initiation of ARNI, it is a very interesting topic. Some studies have shown that if the patient is initially stabilized in the hospital, then we can start directly ARNI instead of AC inhibitor or ARB. Now, what is the definition of stabilized patient in a hospital after hospital admission? Number one, the SBP should be more than 100 millimeter of mercury in prior 6 hours, no symptomatic hypotension. Number two, no increase in the IV diuretic for prior 6 hours, no IV vasodilator in prior 6 hours, and no IV inotrope in prior 24 hours. If the patient meets with this criteria, then in-hospital initiation ARNI can be possible in case of acute decompensated heart failure when the patient is more stabilized. Now, I have already discussed how to actually starting the dose of ARNI and how to increase the dose. Now, these are important drugs, ivabradine and aldosterone antagonist. The indication of ivabradine in heart failure is that when the patient with the reduced ejection fraction on maximum tolerated dose of beta blocker, the patient should be in sinus rhythm with a resting heart rate of more than 70 beats per minute and NYHA class 2 to 3 heart failure. So it is a very common mistake to patient with the atrial fibrillation high rate, we give ivabradine. It is frequently seen. But ivabradine has no role in atrial fibrillation. It can only act on SA node. So sinus, if the patient is sinus rhythm and more than 70 heart rate, then only you should give ivabradine. Now, down to start ivabradine, if the patient age is more than 75 milligram, you should 75 years, then you should actually start with a low dose, 2.5 milligram twice daily, and if the age is less than 75, then you can start with the 5 milligram twice daily. Now, you can actually assess after 2 weeks. If the heart rate is less than 50 beats per minute, then you have to decrease the dose to 2.5 milligram twice daily or discontinue if the patient is already on 2.5 milligram twice daily doses. If the heart rate is between 50 to 60, maintain the current dose, and if the heart rate is more than 60 beats per minute, then increase the 2.5 milligram dose to 5 milligram twice daily, with reaching maximum dose of 7.5 milligram twice daily, and monitor the heart rate. Now, regarding the aldosterone antagonist, actually you should start with the minimum dose and gradually increase the dose over two weeks. And the important issue is that you have to actually assess the kidney function and the potassium after 2 to 3 days and again after 7 days, whether there is any change in the potassium level, because if there is hyperkalemia, you have to stop the drug. Now, consensus pathway algorithm for initiation and titration of the heart failure with reduced ejection fraction. The GDMT should be initiated and therapy should be adjusted no more frequently than every 2 weeks interval. And clinicians should aim to achieve this within 3 to 6 months of the initial diagnosis of heart failure. During follow-up, frequent reassessment of the clinical status of the patient blood pressure and the kidney function should be performed, and reassessment of the ventricular function should occur after the target or maximally tolerated dose of GDMT are achieved for at least 3 months to determine the need of further advanced therapy like device therapy such as ICD or cardiac resynchronization therapy. Now, barriers to medication titration, one is the abnormal renal function. The ACE and ARB are generally considered safe in patient with the creatinine less than 3 milligram. In patient with the mild to moderate renal dysfunction with the eGFR 30 to 60, there is no adjustment is needed when deciding to start the dose of ARNI. In those patients with the severe renal impairment, that is eGFR is less than 30, the starting dose of the sacubitril valsartan should be half dose, that is the 50 milligram twice daily. Now, aldosterone antagonists are contraindicated in patient with the severe renal impairment, that is the eGFR less than 30 or creatinine more than 2.5 in male patients and creatinine more than 2 with the potassium more than 5 in the female patients. And renal function and the potassium should be actually assessed initially more frequently to assess any side effect of the drugs. Now, patients whom the new therapies may not be indicated, you can see if the patients whose life expectancy is short, let's say less than 1 year, due to other comorbidities, some therapies like implantable device may not be appropriate. And in patient with a NYHA class 4 with a stage D heart failure, being considered for advanced therapies, that is a transplant or left ventricular assist device, home inotrope or hospice, initiation of a new drug therapies may not be appropriate, especially given the absence of evidence addressing the efficacy in such patients. Now, this is an interesting slide. When to transfer the patient to a heart failure specialist, you can actually, this is a acronym, that is I need help. That is the patient requiring IV inotrope. Patient is NYHA class 4 or 3B, the end organ dysfunction, persistent ejection fraction less than 35%, patient requiring shock or defibrillator, and hospitalization more than 1 times, edema despite escalating diuretic, low blood pressure and high heart rate, and prognostic medication, progressive intolerance or down titration of GDMT. So these are the indications when you should actually refer to a heart failure specialist, these patients, for further treatment. Now, these are the important issue we should actually address in African American and the frail and the elderly patient. You can see the African American patient, the ACE or ARB or ARNI has a higher risk for angioedema, so they should be actually given very cautiously. And for the elderly patients, actually, if you actually treat with the diuretic and the ACE inhibitor with the regular, the normal dose, there is always chance of fall, worsening renal function, and polypharmacy, cost, and comorbidity. So these are the important issues when we should actually address before actually treating the patients. Now, this is an important slide. What are the common cardiac and non-cardiac comorbidities? And there are some strong recommendations when we actually treat, like coronary artery disease, your aortic stenosis. When we actually treat, there is always chance of improvement of the heart failure. And there are some cardiac, non-cardiac comorbidities. Particularly important is the diabetes. I should actually special mention the SGLT2 inhibitor, because this is a drug, the DAPA-HF trial have shown that this diabetic patient with a high risk and prone and high risk for recurrent heart failure hospitalization, if you treat the patient with the SGLT2 inhibitors, we can actually reduce the heart failure hospitalization and mortality. So this is an important issue. And otherwise, the iron deficiency, we know if we actually treat iron deficiency patient with actually IV iron, then there is a less chance of heart failure hospitalization. And other issues like, just 1 minute, the other issues like sleep disturbance, the thyroid, they have a weak or moderate intermediate indication to treat. Now, I have intentionally actually not keep this slide because it is a very specialist issue like ICD, cardiac resynchronization therapy, the mitral clip for structural heart disease for functional MR, There's a CCM, that's the cardiac contraction modulation, and the mechanical ventricular assist device. So they are basically option for advanced heart failure. There's the stage, apart from CRTD, otherwise they are basically advanced heart failure with the class D symptomatic patients. So the take-home message is, heart failure is a complex situation that need optimum management. Individualization of the therapy is mandatory. Drug therapy should be titrated to a maximum tolerable dose. Blood pressure, electrolytes, and the kidney function should be monitored carefully. When indicated, should be referred to a specialist, and other comorbidities should be treated accordingly. Thank you very much for your patient hearing.